So WWE has a brand new bad guy group that consists of Seth Rollins, Paul Heyman, and Bron Breakker. Although at the moment, they are not the bad guy group. That's because my friends on the latest episode of Monday Night Raw, which was April 28th, 2025, whatever the flub it is, they did come out and everybody went, yeah, we love these people. Mostly because they're like cool dudes. I mean, Seth Rollins did look like this at one moment, which absolutely slayed me. I'm not going to lie. I mean, this was the kind of way that I would dress up when I was going to something serious, but I wanted people to know I was a goofball. But hey, I've long said this, and I will always say it. It's sports entertainment, man. As long as I am entertained, what the flub do I care? Now, of course, if you have just stumbled across this video, please do click the subscribe button and do all the other things you can do with YouTube. I promise you, you'll have the best old time, because we are a Positive Pete wrestling channel. But yes, Seth Rollins, Bron Breakker, and Paul Heyman essentially bookended this week's episode of Raw, because they were saying how great they all were when Sami Zayn came out and said, I don't think you're so great. So Seth was like, you're either with us, you're against us. You now have 3 hours to decide whether you want to be in our group, and if you're not, we'll kill you. And there was actually a lot more to this as well, which has made me very intrigued about the future. And we'll stick with Sami Zayn for now before we move on to one CM Punk, because they offered Sami Zayn a lot. And I thought this was really good because it made the stable feel like they had layers to it. They're not just, we are evil and we'll kill everybody. Because Seth Rollins is best pals with Sami Zayn, which we did see at the start of 2025. He was like, listen, Paul Heyman, he's the wise man. He has all the power in the world, which makes no sense, but we'll just go with it. And if you want to move to SmackDown, we will send you over there. And also, we will make sure you're the winner of John Cena versus Randy Orton, essentially saying, hey, Sammy, you can finally get your WWE World title shot that you've wanted for a long old time. Now, I really enjoyed this because WWE has now been teasing that Sami Zayn could become the world champion. I mean, really, since that Elimination Chamber match with Roman Reigns. I think that opened the door to prove that if you did want to pull the trigger one day, people would be totally down for it. And Sami Zayn is just the best babyface. The promo he cut at the start of the show and the promo he cut at the end of the show, he just comes across like such a real person. Especially towards the end, he was saying, don't manipulate me. You know, our kids hang out together. We do have a life outside of wrestling. But you are now trying to, use the things I've told you in confidence in order for me to do your bidding. I'm not going to do that. But I will win a world championship one day, but it won't be thanks to you, and it won't be thanks to you. It will be because I do it the right way. Now, there is no way, I don't think, and plans can change, of course, the WWE would script this unless Sami Zayn was going to win a world championship. Given what we have done here, and given that we are obviously going to make Seth Rollins the biggest bad guy on Raw, I can imagine that Seth Rollins, sooner or later, maybe after the Logan Paul stuff, which we'll also talk about later, goes after Jey Uso. He probably has to win that World Heavyweight Championship, because why start this brand new group if it's not going to dominate the program? And I'm sure we'll do some back and forth between Jey and Seth, but given that Jey and Sami's are buddies, which we also saw in this episode of Raw, because they had a backstage segment where Jey was like, oh man, follow your heart. I think Sami Zayn, good guy Sami Zayn, is going to beat Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship, maybe even at WrestleMania 42. Now, originally, my idea was that Bron Breakker would do that. But then I thought, think how long Jey Uso was in the bloodline before he spun out onto his own to win a world championship. Now you can say that Bron Breakker has had the rocket attached to him way more than Jey Uso had ever done. But I think the Judgment Day, the Bloodline, and other such groups have proven that we don't need to rush all of this. I mean, WrestleMania 42 is in like 10, 11 months' time, a year essentially. Why break it up by then? I mean, you should play it by ear, and you should listen to the fans and always obviously make changes as and when it does make sense. But I think Seth Rollins could be the antithesis to Roman Reigns in the sense he doesn't go on a 1,316 title day reign, but he wins that belt, he loses the belt. He'll have some animosity with Bron Breakker, but you do not have to do it within the next 12 months, especially when you have a Jey Uso, you have a Sami Zayn, and there's probably other people that I'm not even thinking about right now. So this was awesome. Obviously, Sami Zayn did turn him down. So Bron Breakker was like, well, I'll wreck him. And as Paul Heyman told us, we are not going to hold Bron Breakker back anymore. If he does want to destroy some people, he's let off the leash. That's what he did. 1 spear, 2 spear, 3 spear more. Seth Rollins then talked to him like, man, you got to finish this guy off. And he hit his super spear outside of the ring, which cracked me up because the useless wrestling security guards were there. They parted for him. I said this on Ups and Downs on What Culture Wrestling. Make sure you go there afterwards as well and watch my more performative review of pro wrestling if you're into that thing, and give them a subscribe. And like I say, subscribe to me too. But surely you were there as a blockade. Everybody then ran away, which is the theme for this week. If you have seen the TNA dive by Leon Slater, that was absolutely incredible. And everybody kind of parted ways there, although actually I think a couple of people in the group, I'm not going to name names, I don't want to be that guy. They did try, but as a unit, it did not work. Thankfully, it seems like he's okay. Anyway, it does mean the show ends with Sami Zayn being dead after the curb stomp that Seth Rollins have given him. They are the big new bad group. What are they going to do? They're going to break everybody. And I would presume, I think it's going to be a 6-man tag now. If you watched my video yesterday, which is completely worthless, within 24 hours, because I don't know what I'm talking about. I can now see a world where it's CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Sami Zayn taking on Seth Rollins, Bron Breakker, and whoever their extra man is going to be. I would put my money on Jeff Cobb, just because I don't think it's a coincidence he didn't turn up at WrestleMania, and he didn't turn up the week after WrestleMania. Originally, I thought maybe it would be at Backlash, but maybe they introduce him beforehand, and then you do the six-man tag, and of course, Seth Rollins' group has to win. Now, the interesting part, moving on to Mr. Punk, is that at the start of his promo, Seth Rollins, wearing the dumbest glasses you've ever seen, did say, "Oh, hi, I know some of you want to cheer for CM Punk." He then went quiet to allow them to cheer for CM Punk, but they did not, and they started to boo. And you can go and watch this and look at Seth Rollins' face. He couldn't believe it. He was like, oh my gosh, I was not ready for this. Now, listen, you get out loud crowds all of the time. When Cody Rhodes comes back, do I expect him to be booed? No. I think that was going to be a WrestleMania thing. John Cena is a power unto himself, so you're always going to get some kind of crazy reactions. So I can see a world where CM Punk turns back up next week whenever the Flubby is back, and it's all peaches and cream and nothing to worry about. Or maybe we've kind of stepped over the precipice here, and all of a sudden things are going to be different. Now, this is more of a social media discussion. I wouldn't necessarily say that I've seen plenty of evidence of this just yet, although it has been creeping in, and that is that maybe, just maybe, some smarky crowds, which is an incredible term, have got back into the arenas. Now, I guess the best description of this would be when we wanted Daniel Bryan to become the guy, and we booed Rey Mysterio at the Royal Rumble. We weren't actually booing Rey Mysterio, we were booing management. It's the same with Roman Reigns. We like Roman Reigns, but is he being put in the right position? No, and he's being rammed down our throats, therefore we're going to boo this. It goes all the way back to 1996. There'll be other times, of course. What do we do with The Rock? We booed him, didn't like him, he went away, came back, die Rocky die, turns heel, goes on one of the best runs of all time. So, would CM Punk be somebody this crowd even aimed their ire at? I don't know if that is the case, because of course, for a big stretch there over 10 years, when the fans did feel disengaged from what the hierarchy were doing, we chanted CM Punk. So, it's certainly something to keep your eye on. But listen, I don't mind if CM Punk starts getting booed, because if we do get to heel CM Punk, everything is going to be glorious. Like, he's a wonderful babyface, especially in his current guise, but I always think he does his best work when he's unhinged and he's unleashed, and 9 times out of 10 in wrestling, that is going to be when you're on the heel side. But we wait and see. But obviously it was very interesting when Seth Rollins mentioned Roman Reigns. He got cheered, but I kind of feel like Roman has entered that weird space now, just because he has been there so long and he's overcome a lot of adversity, although Punk has too, just in a different way, where he's like, he's not on their level, but he's getting to a Randy Orton, a John Cena level, where you just respect them because they are legends in your mind, and therefore they can do whatever the flub they want. Really, Roman is still a heel as well in terms of how he behaves. He hasn't changed his character at all. Not one time did he go to Jey Uso and say congratulations. So he's not a good friend, or a good brother, I should say, or a good cousin. But there is something hugely intriguing to this new Seth Rollins group, and they can't lose for a while. And Bron Breakker just feels like a monster after 1 week, and he felt like a monster anyway. But it's going to be massively interesting if we do this big match at Backlash, and we see what the reactions are. But Seth Rollins definitely should add a couple more people. Some people have suggested Becky Lynch. I'm not totally against it, but then you do have to acknowledge the fact they're a couple in real life. And it has worked in the past, like Triple H and Stephanie McMahon went too long, but there were elements to that. And then again, when we did the Baron Corbin, Lacey Evans stuff against Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, that felt way too forced. But there are ways to do it. There are ways and means. And I think we should probably put a woman in the group. Too many times we're like woman group, men group. We can mix them up, and I don't think 5 people in a group is too many, especially because Paul Heyman will not actually be the Ric Flair from Evolution. Like, he's not going to be involved in any matches. That's not what we want to see. But again, great opening, great closing. I think Seth Rollins is doing some really good work. I do think he may need to change his entrance theme and maybe change up his look a little bit, just to sort of really underline I'm not the same person that I was. He did do that in his promo here, but wrestling is a very visual and aesthetic sport. So sometimes you just need to ram this over people's heads. But it's been a great decision by WWE to drop this post-WrestleMania. Seth Rollins is leaning into the fact he won that WrestleMania main event, and therefore he's better than Roman Reigns and CM Punk. So that's working too. I would imagine that at least one of them will be on the show next week. I do think we'll do the 6-man tag at Backlash, although I'm not 100% sure. But either way, really good stuff. I really like it. I'm invested. Plug me in. I want to see where it's going to go. And when I want to see where something's going to go, I'll tune in next week. That's the whole point of episode with TV programming. Something I was not so into, though, speaking of Jey Uso, was his feud with Logan Paul. It's just not for me. Now, some people go nuts when I say this. I want to make it very clear. I'm just talking about it from a wrestling point of view. Am I massively happy with what he's done outside of wrestling? No. But if I'm going to start judging everybody in wrestling about what they do in their outside endeavors, I won't be able to talk about anyone. I'm just talking about the stuff that I see on my television. No, I didn't like the fact that Logan Paul beat AJ Styles at WrestleMania. It's because I think AJ Styles is awesome and one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. Whereas Logan Paul, of course I can see he's talented. Of course I can see that he gets better every single week. And of course he fits wrestling like a glove, but he's just not one of my guys. We did a whole video about this. Sometimes people are your guys, and sometimes people aren't your guys. Maybe there's specific reasons, or maybe it's just something you feel in your tum-tum. But therefore, when he becomes Jey Uso's first challenger for the World Championship, well, it just doesn't feel like a massive deal to me. And again, I've said this on other videos too. Do I think if Roman Reigns had won the World Championship at WrestleMania, he'd be facing Logan Paul first? No. With Cody Rhodes? No. With John Cena? No. With CM Punk? No. So I think given that there is a lot of negative Nancy feelings towards Jey Uso, we probably should have come up with somebody who I deem to be a bigger star. Not saying that Logan Paul isn't a bigger star, but certain stars can carry certain weights with them. This is not meant to be as disparaging as I sound, because I genuinely think Miz is an all-timer and a Hall of Famer and a legend. But if it was Jey Uso versus The Miz, I'd feel the same. It's like, man, I want something a bit more interesting, a bit more different. And listen, Logan Paul's a good person for Jey Uso to beat. I don't think there's a chance in hell that he will walk away with the World Championship. And if he does, I'll have a meltdown. But Seth Rollins needs to get through the Punk Roman Reigns stuff before he turns his attentions to that title, which is be post-Backlash. So I actually said yesterday I think Jey Uso was going to be on the show, because there were some times last year the World Championship didn't appear on a pay-per-view PLE. But I guess there's ways and means to do this to make it make sense. But do I think that's going to be in the main event slot, for example? No, I don't, especially because it's John Cena versus Randy Orton, actually. And maybe that's how you get away with it, too. That is such a mega main event, and they're two such huge stars that you can kind of treat the World Heavyweight Championship as the number 2 title, which WWE's always done. You can go back to 2002 to see this, and depending on who had the belt and how they were treated. But it's just not for me. Sometimes there's no other way to put it than that. Logan Paul cut a half-decent heel promo. I thought Jey Uso was really good. Apart from when Jey Uso went, man, I ain't listening to no dumbass YouTuber. Every single wrestling feud of me, I wrestle in my real life. In case you don't know, I'm in Progress Super Strong Style this weekend, Sunday, Monday. So if you are in London, Camden, go to Progress right now and buy a ticket and come see me fight. I'll be there on both days. Every single time, oh man, you're just a YouTuber, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't make a difference, man. Like, I understand why you would have to do this, and it makes sense in terms of wrestling. But you can be a YouTuber and a wrestler. You can be a plumber and a wrestler. You can be anything else and a wrestler. You're allowed to do multiple things. I still sometimes get this in the comments, and please do comment because it's good for engagement, when they say, oh, you're nothing more than a YouTuber. Well, no, I am. I'm a human being first and foremost. And who wants to be that lame that they are secured or trapped in by just one thing? Screw that. I want to do everything. I want to be a wrestler. I want to be a YouTuber. I've started acting over the last few years, and I've had some incredible experiences doing that. Mostly, I just want to do the things that I love and I'm passionate about. So I wouldn't have done that, especially from the good guy, but it worked. It got a reaction. But yeah, I think it'll be something that we do for a few weeks. I get it. Backlash is like round the corner. It's only 3 weeks away. But I just have to continue to use the phrase, it's not for me, right? It's not something I want to see. It's not something I particularly care about. But if Jey Uso beats him, we can all move on. And then, yes, I think it'll be Jey versus Seth. And at least then, Jey Uso will have had one defense. So you can't throw that at him. Well, you've never taken on anybody. So it will give him a little bit more oomph, which I think is important. Really, I think the other best stuff on Raw was everything we did with the women. Rhea Ripley versus Roxanne Perez was really, really good, and it felt fresh, especially on the main roster. Yes, of course, it ended in disqualification when Julia got involved. WWE is doing that way too much. They're using it as a crutch, and now I expect that to happen. You never want it to go down. It's not as bad as this, but Vince Russo was the poster boy for it back in the Attitude Era, because he thought that everything had to be a twist, and therefore everything was a twist, when actually then the real thing that would have been a twist was no twist, because that's what you were least expecting. So I don't want to get to the point where I'm like, oh my gosh, are we actually going to get a winner and loser? I should always expect that deep down in my Tootsie Toast. However, at the same time, Io Sky comes out here, so we do have Roxanne Perez, we have Rhea Ripley, we have Io Sky, and we have Julia. If they kind of segue off into a tag team match, especially a Backlash, before we get into the Rhea Ripley and Io Sky program, no problem with that. Stephanie Vaquer versus Ivy Nile on this show. Ivy Nile is great. Stephanie Vaquer is brilliant. Not sure if any of these NXT women are called up, but they prove they can hold their own. Oh, they're super duper good. And we had our big storyline feud, which is Becky Lynch turning heel and saying, Lyra Valkyria, I hate you. Bayley, I hate you too. You've been beating me up since 2019. That's why, Lyra, I am disappointed in you. Because when I was away from television, you went and teamed up with her. Lyra comes out and said, oh, everybody said you're a little succubus backstage. Now you've pissed me off. They get into a war of words. Lyra Valkyria clonks her in the face. She's then inexperienced, and she does pose when her music is playing, so Becky Lynch beats her up too. I think Becky Lynch should win the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania. That doesn't make any sense. A Backlash. I think Bayley should get back involved. I think we should do some kind of three-way here. And I think 2 stars of the level of Bayley and Becky Lynch fighting for that title is only going to elevate it. Lyra Valkyria is only going to benefit because she's super duper good in the ring, but we need to sort of get her personality across more, which we did on this episode of Raw, but you can do even more when Bayley comes back. It was just good stuff. It made all the sense in the world. Becky Lynch sounded like a real person. Lyra Valkyria sounded like a real person, apart from when she went, I want to be a better person than you. I don't know why it tickled me. It just did. But I really do like it. And Becky Lynch as a heel, it wasn't really the goofy persona that she did before, though I liked it. but it was far more real. I think that gave her far more edge, not Adam Copeland. He went to AEW. But again, between all of this, there's so many good directions we're going. And if you did Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley, I suppose you could do a Stephanie Vaquer versus a Julia or Roxanne Perez if you wanted to head back in that direction. At least you can do something with all of them. And you got the Becky Lynch, Bayley, and Lyra Valkyria stuff. I'm sure most of this will peak at Evolution, but you could bet on any pay-per-view and it would hold its own. And I actually thought the New Day did a terrific job as well. I don't know what we're doing in those World Tag Team Championships. I presume it's going to go back to the War Raiders because they beat the Judgment Day. But the New Day just went out there on commentary and they were hilarious. Like, they were deliberately controversial as they continue to call the War Raiders fat. But they are meant to be heels, and there's no way the War Raiders didn't know about this beforehand. And also they got their revenge. They just threw the Judgment Day into the New Day to shut them up. Penta got involved too, and JD McDonough did his big moonsault, so he should feel better about that now. So that was super duper nice. But obviously, Penta is now feuding with his guys. We teased that the Lucha Brothers are going to feud with the Judgment Day, which will be awesome when Felix and Penta get back together. Well, they'll probably go after American Made as well, because Chad Gable was yelling at Penta in the back. But at least Penta got his revenge here. Like, JD McDonough pushed him off the ropes last week. So Penta pushes him off the ropes this week. Sometimes it's just nice. It's a bit dumb that Nick Aldis went, Penta, don't do that again, but never addressed the heels. I feel like there's something there, and I feel like we're layering a little bit better. But yes, these tag team titles, well, the scene in general needs more teams, which is why I'm all for the Lucha Brothers getting back together. But let's try and, lean into what we've been doing on SmackDown. The story there was a roller coaster ride of madness, but with Fraxium over there and the amount of good duos that they have, you could easily turn it around next week, and I want Raw to do the same. The New Day are great champions, but they have to be in a good feud. But that was good. It was very entertaining. That's the major reason that I do watch it. And Pat McAfee went out there and cut a fire promo too. I will concede to the criticism of why is he not scared to face Gunther. But he did kind of get fired up enough here where he's like, man, I'm a loyal person, I'm a good person. You turned on Michael Cole, we dropped the F1 over and over again. But, I can't lay that stand because Michael Cole's always had my back, so now I have to have his back. And Gunther did do a post where he quote tweeted the official Backlash poster, because that's where it's going to happen, as confirmed by Nick Aldis, with a lol emoji. The man is brilliant. The man is the best. And listen, it's a very weird match to do this soon. I actually thought we'd hold it off a little bit, but it will work. People like Pat McAfee. Gunther, of course, is going to win, so he can get his heat back. The only silly bit is Nick Aldis comes and says, listen, Pat, you're not allowed to fight him. He's suspended. However, we all had a conversation. He's not suspended anymore. He's going to be back at Backlash. In real life, Gunther just wanted some time off. I love the fact in 2025 wrestlers are allowed to have a holiday, and it doesn't make a difference. But really, with a pay-per-view PLE this soon, doing the whole announcer who is a wrestler, we've seen him wrestle before, especially against Adam Cole, coming back into the ring to take on somebody like Gunther, I actually think it works. I think it worked here. I thought it was really good. So again, it ticked a bunch of boxes. And of course, we had the Rusev promo. I don't understand why some people are, well, it's a tribalist nature, which is so silly and a waste of your life. One day you're going to be on a deathbed and you're not going to look back and go, man, I'm really happy I defended this company as crazy as I did. It was a Redeemer promo, but the Redeemer gimmick is brilliant. And I don't care if somebody comes up with a good gimmick in WWE and takes it to AEW, or vice versa, like Adam Copeland coming out to Metalingus. Good. Do it all the time. Rusev bringing in the Miro Redeemer persona over to WWE. Absolutely. He talked about his tank at WrestleMania. He mentioned no more listening to his wife. He's not crushing people because other people want him to. He now wants to do it. I just think Rusev is brilliant. He's taking on Otis next week. Some people are criticizing that too. Who doesn't want two big men slapping man meat? I liked all of it. I'm excited that he's back. Even if he just slots into the mid-card, I don't care because he's so damn entertaining. As long as he's on my TV, that's better than what's been happening over the last 2 years, so I can't fault it. Again, I was happy to see him. I was excited to see him. It was all good by me. And ultimately, maybe I've forgotten something, but they were the main things that happened on Raw, and it was an easy-to-watch show. Again, it's just the tropes that WWE have fallen into that are a little bit silly. Like Roxanne Perez's call-up is like an old-school NXT call-up. We didn't need to do that. There was way more that we could have done, but it doesn't matter because now she's facing Rhea Ripley. We do not need as many disqualifications as we do. I hope WWE moves away from that too. But other than that, maybe there's some other things that I was a bit like, not really sure what we're doing there. But, the Dominic Mysterio has hinted that he's going to feud with AJ Styles. I can't get mad with that because I love these two. And it seems like Karrion Kross is going to be involved with Sami Zayn. That was a bit weird. He didn't seem to care that Logan Paul was going to be the world champion potentially. But, hopefully we'll get back to that. I suppose the other big news that is not wrestling related is that Liv Morgan asked for time off and got it because she's going to be filming a Hollywood movie. Some people have said, with, proper authority, this isn't going to be like when she's got a cameo in something small. Sounds like she's got a massive role. And I think Spider-Man starts filming in the summer, so maybe it's that. There's something else. There's the Once Upon a Once Upon a Time in Hollywood Part 2. And there's a bunch of big movies that are about to start shooting, and if she's in any of those as a main character, more power to her. What an incredible 2024 she had. It's a shame about the tag team belts. We don't know how long she's going to be away for, but I've long said that WWE needs to do more with them as well. And Raquel and Liv have been so damn good, but we'll wait and see. I don't want to go, oh man, they should strip them. And then Liv Morgan is back like late May. I don't know how long she's going to be on filming a set for, but if we can keep them on, then we should. We shouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater, and we should take time. But it's two very, very good Raws outside of WrestleMania, and I love the fact that we are framing the whole thing around Seth Rollins' group, because I think there's so much potential there, especially with the Bron Breakker. Does he go back after the IC title eventually? Is he just going to be sort of, for lack of a better term, the lapdog for Seth Rollins, who clearly has his own mind? Paul Heyman is obviously sticking his oar in because he has more power somehow that we'll never know. But it just worked for me. And I guess the matches we do know for Backlash now, it's kind of nuts. Logan Paul and Jey Uso, John Cena and Randy Orton and Gunther, Pat McAfee. So it's a very sports entertainment heavy card, but I think ultimately it will be fun. I don't mind Gunther versus Pat McAfee again. I think it's going to be designed to get Gunther, give him more of a terror than he has been. And eventually we have to get to the Goldberg match too, which is probably SummerSlam. Not entirely sure how that works out here, but good stuff. Really, really good stuff. By the time it ended, it just breezed by. It was a very easy to watch show, and now I want to see what's going to happen at Backlash. And again, that is the whole point. But more importantly, I need to know what you thought about WWE Raw last night. So drop me a comment below, give me your opinions and give me your thoughts. Please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click the notification bell. If you want to see how bad my Backlash match predictions were, within 24 hours, I implore you to click the screen. Otherwise, go to grillermind.com/Simon. You get Simon, get money off. These are the supplements I use, and they are brilliant. I promise you they'll work for you, especially their pre-workout, best in the game. It ships worldwide too, and you can support the channel by using them. Otherwise, Simon316 on all social media, Simon J. Miller on TikTok, Simon Miller on Cameo for a personalized voice message, or video message, I should say. Maybe you can do voice messages, I don't know. Otherwise, it's prowrestlingtees.com/Simon Miller for my merchandise. And if you're in Europe, simonmiller.bigcartel.com for t-shirts there as well. I appreciate you. I'm sorry these videos are a bit short at the moment. My throat is totally fried from WrestleMania, and I've been told not to push it, but at the same time, this is my job. But, we'll get back into the more extended stuff soon, but it's going to go in a minute, and then it'll just be me doing this. Nobody needs that, apart from the people that hate me. But if you are hating me, why are you watching me anyway? It's a paradox, but I love you, my friends. Let's go for dinner first, and I'll see you tomorrow.